Hi, I'm Donna Rutherford, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to make the most of your autosomal DNA matches. First of all, I'm going to cover off some of the DNA concepts, so just a bit of a reminder about DNA and how it works. Then we're going to look at some clustering methods, and then how to build the trees based on those clusters we've built, and then bringing it all together and finally getting that match confirmed and into your tree. Clustering is a methodology currently being used by genetic genealogists, and it involves bringing together your matches into groups to work out that common ancestor. So we're going to quickly cover off those concepts and then start looking at this methodology. So first of all, we know that autosomal DNA comes from our parents. It can only come from our parents, and we get 50% of each of our parent. It's a random 50%, so we don't match exactly 12.5% of each grandparent. DNA sites give us our ethnicity estimates, our matches, our shared matches, which are going to be really important for what I'm going to be talking about, any trees that our matches have, and then a way to contact our matches. It's possible we have false matches in our match list, and these are mostly near the bottom of the list. And we measure our matches based on centimorgans. So a centimorgan is a complex measurement, and it's how much DNA we share with someone. The more DNA, the higher the centimorgan amount and the closer the relationship. Science tells us that we have a 90% chance of finding a common ancestor within 5 to 6 generations, so within that genealogical time frame, for matches greater than 30 centimorgans. So that means as we get further down our match list, we've got a less chance of finding a common ancestor within the genealogical time frame. So we really want to concentrate our research time at the top of our match list. Now, what are we going to look for when we get our matches back after we've looked at our ethnicity estimate and decided whether we like that or not? Then we need to start looking at our matches. We want to look at the centimorgan amount, so how much DNA do they share with us? Where to find the shared matches, so who else shares DNA with me in the match, any trees they have, their profile. Sometimes there's lots of clues on their profile about who they are, and that helps us identify the match. And we want to look to see if there's any messaging system. So is there a way of contacting our matches if we want to ask them a few questions or see if they want to collaborate with us? There's some other things that we see, but they're not really as important at this stage. So things like the hints, searching for a surname. We want to follow the DNA, not follow the surnames. And we don't really want to spend too much time looking at ethnicity, but there are times that might help us as well. And segment data. Not all the sites give us segment data, but it's not important for the type of methodology we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to start to look at clustering. What is it and why do we do it? Why does this methodology work? Well, first of all, it means bringing together and grouping together all the matches within our list, depending on who shares DNA with who. Each cluster is likely to have a common ancestor. So if we get a group of matches who all share DNA together, it's likely they have the same common ancestor, and it's likely that it's going to be from the same branch and the same common ancestor in our tree. Not always, but likely. We're actually the link to all these clusters. So everybody is linked together based on us because they all match us. Now I'm going to look at how to manually cluster your matches. This is a good way to do it. We usually use colour codes, so we can use colour coding to distinguish each group. There's a great blog by a lady called Donna Leeds, an American lady, who first recommended this as a way of grouping together your matches. It was a way of getting all your matches into your 4 grandparent groups. So we're going to look at that method and how that works. And you will have heard people talk about the Leeds method or the Donna Leeds method. And she does have a great site, a great blog, and I would suggest you go and have a look at that as well. It's often described by using a spreadsheet, but we can use pen and paper, coloured pens if we want to as well. The first step in clustering is we really need to have a list of all our DNA matches so we can start pooling them together. Most of the sites do have a way to download the match list, but unfortunately now with Ancestry there is no way to do that. There used to be third parties that gave us access to download a match list, but unfortunately last year, as Ancestry was doing a tidy up with people scraping the site, that they sent cease and desist notices to any third parties that were scraping data from their site. So we do have to do this manually now. The way I do it actually is just start a quick spreadsheet. You might use Excel or Google Sheets, but as I say, you can do this on a piece of paper as well. And once we've got our list of matches, we need to know how to find all the people that share matches with that match as well. So all their shared matches. Now I'm going to show you how to find them at each of the different sites. But briefly, Ancestry, you use the Shared Matches tab. MyHeritage, they're actually on the match page. At Family Tree DNA, we use the In Common With button. At 23andMe, we find them from the match page itself. And similarly at Living DNA, we also see them on the match page. At GEDmatch, we run a report that's called People Who Match Both or One of Two Kits. But let's run through each of those separately because it's really important you know how to get these shared matches. So here we are at Ancestry. You call up your match and you'll see three little tabs: Trees, Ethnicity and Shared Matches. And we click on Shared Matches and that's how we find everyone else that matches us and that particular match. At MyHeritage, when we open up the match page itself, as we scroll down, about halfway down, we'll see a section called Shared DNA Matches. And here we can see everyone that matches us and matches the match. The great part about MyHeritage and Shared Matches, you can also see how the shared matches match your match. And that can be really helpful for identifying who the match is. This is a 23andMe. We open up the match page and when we scroll down we find a button called Relatives in Common, and by clicking that button up will come the list of all the people that share DNA with you in the match. This is Family Tree DNA. So at FTDNA you select the match by clicking in the little box on the left hand side of the profile picture. And then at the top of the page there's a button called In Common With, and by clicking that you'll return a list of everybody who is a shared match. At Living DNA we just go down to the bottom of the match page and then we'll see how many people we have shared matches with. And then at GEDmatch we call up the report section and there's a report called People Who Match Both or One of Two Kits. And by clicking that, we'll get a list of people that are in common with you and with the match that you've selected.
We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. To watch the extended, uninterrupted version, go to familyhistory.tv, link in the description. You will also find a host of talks from other experts on a variety of subjects. Don't forget to subscribe to get notified when these videos become available.